January 22nd, 2011. We're back with Carlton Berkley. You'll hear me call him Chuck. Of course, it's personal. He's keep watching me when I periodically look at him. I'm just looking at him because I'm waiting for him.
Okay.
I'm waiting for him. It's going to get real hot in here. Got the heat down just for this here. We gonna get back and we gonna zoom in on what he has here, but I gotta give him an opportunity to explain what his survival got.
Well, before we went to commercial break, you said, what does white America see in our neighborhood with us, you know?
And it's not just New York.
Right, okay.
All over.
Well, you know what? This right now is not about white America, because what is white America doing to help us? See, the question that you pose is not nothing that white America could do for us. We as a people gotta want to change the way we live.
So are we starting with the police, or are we gonna start with us? Because the police wouldn't be there if we was taking care of our community.
That's not.
If them young kids wasn't out there shooting up the place, we wouldn't have to hire all these cops.
That's not true, brother.
Tell us why not.
Listen, civilized people need police too.
Of course, not as many as we got.
But you know what?
We need them.
We definitely do. There is a need for police.
We're out of order. We've been out of order. We've been out of order.
You're right. But Norm, but brother Norm, like I said, please invite me and we'll talk about that, because I'm not just out here to go against the police.
Okay.
Right? I'm doing other things. I'm fighting that war too.
Okay.
All right. But today, the 22nd, right? We're going to talk about because you know why this is so important. No, it's because for the simple fact, just like how we engaged in that conversation with our people, well, you know what? The police got to stop victimizing us too. If we're victimizing ourselves, which you just said, we don't need to be victimized by the police either.
Now, let me say something to you. When I saw you in Harlem and I said this here, I didn't really want to mess with it because you know my feelings on this.
Yes.
But I do have to agree, I have children. My son is 16. He likes to wear his hood over his head. And these are things in our community that will get these kids stopped. We can never, I will never take that away, that as a parent, we always got to be afraid that one day your child will come home crying because the police violated him.
Well, that's
we're pro-police. But we know it can happen, no matter how, and I'm not saying I'm uppity and all of this here, and because I'm in law enforcement, I don't care. But we do realize on one day, our child might call, the police did this. It could happen.
Okay, Norm, you're right.
Educate them. So I'm allow you to educate the people, to educate the younger community.
Okay, but before I go into that, you said another magic word. You said with your son wearing his hood, you know, and may have to come home, right, and say that the police stopped him, but at least your son get home. Suppose your son doesn't get home, your son could get killed by having that hood on his head.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. So at least if he comes home, you know, we're happy about that, but he may not come home. But now getting back to this book, let me just let you know what the book entails.
Okay.
All right. The table of contents is, right, what to do when being stopped or approached by the police anywhere. What to do while being searched. What to do if you are not arrested and you felt violated by the police. If you were injured by the police during your stop, what you should do. If you are arrested, right, what to expect when brought to the precinct. What a body cavity search is. You know, while I was a cop, people didn't understand that a cop can do a body cavity search on you if the police officer can explain to the sergeant why that search is necessary and needs to be done. But most of the people I find in our neighborhood
explain a body cavity search.
Okay, right. Didn't know what a body cavity search was. You gotta explain that one. A body cavity search is done when the officer believes that something small could be secretly secreted, right, on your person, which means when you talk about men, right, in their buttocks, between their legs and their genital area. For females, in their buttocks, in their vaginal area, and their breasts. Now, it alarmed me that most of the people that I spoke to about my workshop didn't know what a body cavity search, and they argued with me saying that the police didn't have the right to do it. And I'm explaining to them, yes, they do. See, that's why
where do they have where is the appropriate, because you know there's been complaints and you've heard the drug people come to jail, because I'm in the jails, and you hear them say, well, they dug up in me and out in the street.
Yeah, well, listen. No. See, a body cavity search is not supposed to be conducted in the street. It's conducted in the precinct, in a bathroom or something, with the utmost privacy. So if there's a female, you have a female cop, right? And you would have a female supervisor to supervise, because the supervisor has to be present during the search. And if it's a male, you have a male cop with a male supervisor. I have heard in the street where women have come up to me and said that male officers searched them, you know, and went inside their brassiere. That's not supposed to happen. The only time something like that could happen is if there's an emergency. And the only emergency I can give you as an example was when I was a narcotics officer, right? I went to arrest a woman who had our pre-recorded buy money, or she had the drugs in her brassiere area. And when I walked up to her and I told her who I was, she reached in here. Now, I didn't know if she was reaching for a gun, a knife, or whatever, right? But I assumed she was reaching for the drugs that she had just sold me and the money that I had just given her, right? I thought she was gonna reach in there, get more drugs, throw it down the sewer, or whatever, right? And didn't want to get arrested with the evidence on her person. However, what I did was, when she put her hand here, I grabbed her hand and I kept it there, right? I didn't search or anything because I was in the street and I had told my supervisor what was going on, because the lady was pushing and moving and I said, no, I got her. I kept her hand right there till a female officer was brought. And once a female officer was brought there, I said, listen, I explained to the female officer, listen, she's being arrested for selling narcotics. I don't know what she got in her brassiere. She may have my pre-recorded buy money, and she may have other drugs, and she may have a weapon. I don't know. But that's why, while you're coming up on the scene, I held her hand here. Now what we're going to do is remove her hand slowly, and that female officer, I'm turning her over to that female officer, and let that female officer conduct the search. Okay. All right. Now, in a case like that, but that wasn't a search. You know, I feared for my safety as well as evidence being lost. Exactly. I did not search her. Okay. All right, because I can't. And when I went through the academy, they told us we couldn't. Okay. All right. So in a controlled environment, right, people are searched by the same gender. So I have stats too, brother, when we get to the stats, to show how cops have been taking advantage of women, because I got stats. When I come to you, I bring proof, right? And just like when I go out to the community, I bring proof. They need something tangible, something they can touch, you know, because they believe that, so that they don't want so much lip service. This brother is bringing lip service. No, I bring proof. I bring stats. So now getting back to this book. Let's go. Right? After the body cavity search, it also says if you are stopped while driving, what you should do. When the officer approaches your car, what you should do. What the passengers should do. I told you earlier in a brief conversation how some of our people were stopped in Harlem because the driver was intoxicated, right? The passengers thought that they were under arrest, and the police officer threatened them with arrest by saying, just for the simple fact that the driver was drunk, you know, that the passengers can get arrested. I'm telling you, and I'm telling your viewers, right? DWI, driving while intoxicated, only applies to the driver. Yes, it did. You know, and the passengers should not be removed to the precinct or anywhere else. Once the cops make that decision to arrest the driver, then the passengers have to find their way home, which means they can get out that car, right, and they catch a bus, a train. The only way they should be detained is if during that stop the officers observed something on their persons, or they got out of line with the police. That's why I always tell everybody to be calm, you know, because that's a battle you can't win. Never gonna win that one. Exactly. You can never outspeak or outtalk a police officer. Your best bet is to be quiet, right, and to be orderly, and to oblige whatever the officer tells you to do, lawfully, right? Now also, what to do if the police come knocking at your door. Most people believe that, and especially our seniors, because I go into the churches, and I've had so many senior citizens explain to me that the police knocked on their door and they came in and they searched their house, and I have to stop them. I go, well, hold on. How could a knock on the door lead to a search of your residence? And did these officers have a warrant? And these senior citizens, right, you got to understand, senior citizens, they're used to the old school, Norm. You know, whereas if a cop, you know, when they were a kid coming up, the cop was always right, the cop was their friend, you know, so they come from a place where if the officer knock on your door, oh, just open the door and let the officer come in. You know, we got to learn from that. You know me, I'm a historian. Okay, I don't want to get into the Emmett Till thing.
But tell me something though. What I find is I don't really, and I might throw a hooded shirt on and anything else, but I really have no problem with the police.
Well, Norm, you shouldn't, and I shouldn't either. But you got to be careful, Norm, because when you throwing on a hooded sweatshirt over your head.
Oh, no doubt
right?
about it. No.
Okay, I can see you know a mistake being made on you one day.
It can happen.
Right.
But it's also, and I do agree with you that you do have to know how to speak and everything else. But I'm just saying, I never really had problems with police.
And that's a good thing, Norm. So that's why I need you, Norm, and through your program, right, to explain to people, if you never had a problem with police, then teach them. Because that's what this is about. This book is about teaching them so that they don't have a problem with the police. And hopefully they'll survive that encounter with the police. But also in this book is if you don't adhere to the rules in this book, then you might wind up seriously hurt, in jail, or dead.
We're going to come back after a brief message. We would like for you to explain some of the things in this. We've touched on the book. Explain this. You got some other stuff down here.
Yes, and some stats.
Some stats. 100 blacks in law enforcement. Let's flip it up a little bit. Tell us about it. We'll be right back after a brief message from our sponsors.